Alright, so it's going to be sorpotel today. This is a beautiful Goan classic dish, and I have about 750 grams of meat, and this is only meat. I have not added any bones or kidney or any such thing. It's just the meat with some proportion of fat into it. So you know, because once it fries off, the fat's going to melt, and in that melted fat itself, we're going to make the gravy. So that's going to add a nice twist to it. So proportion is roughly about 80% meat and roughly about 15 to 20% fat. So into this goes some salt and some turmeric. So about one teaspoon of salt and about a teaspoon of turmeric, just to coat it well. And while Goan vinegar goes best with it, I've got some lovely Filipino palm vinegar, and I'm going to give this a try today. It's got a nice flavor, it smells nice, it's got a nice aroma to it. So let's see how that goes. And once we marinate it, we leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll then start with the cooking process. So this is sorpotel with meat only, with no kidneys, none of the other stuff that we use. It's just the meat into this. Alright, so the meat's marinated, and we'll now leave this for about 15 to 20 minutes. So while the meat's marinating, I also got some reshad masala, and so this is it's a good, beautiful, spicy paste masala. It's used a lot in Goan cooking, and I'll put in the recipe along with this video. But primarily, it's dominated by Kashmiri red chilies, and that's how it gets its color. But it's got a lot of palm vinegar, that's Goan vinegar into it. There's Kashmiri red chilies and a few other spices, but dominant flavor of chilies, and there's ginger, garlic, and of course vinegar, the Goan vinegar that gives it its real kick. Okay, so we're now going to boil this meat, and what you'll notice is that I'm going to boil and fry and make the entire sorpotel in the same dish, just to retain all the flavors in the same recipe. So we'll let this now boil for roughly about 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll then get it off the stove, and then we'll start with the frying process once this is boiled well. Alright, cheers. Alright, so the meat's been boiling away for some time now. I'm now going to drain it off, let it cool, and then we'll fry the meat. Okay, so it's drained. We now start with the frying process. I'm just going to add roughly about 1 large tablespoon of oil, say about 1.5 large tablespoon of oil, and we'll let this fry now. Remember, there's fat in the meat also, so don't put too much of oil, because the fat and the oil will both blend in the meat well. Yeah, so that's a nice sizzle to the meat. It's frying. Now this really needs to be fried really well. I'm going to fry this for roughly about 10 to 12 minutes till I get that nice beautiful char into the meat, and it will turn slightly grayish. So we'll be back once I believe that the meat will be ready. Alright, so the meat's been frying for some time, and you'll notice the char in the meat, and it starts getting a bit stubborn in the sense that it starts sticking to the surface, which is good. So we just need to keep stirring the meat when it's frying, and once this is, you'll notice that it's already shrunk too. So the quantity looks a lot less, but it's nicely boiled and it's well fried. And we'll start now with the gravy. So I'll give this another minute, and then we'll get it out, and we'll start with actually cooking the sorpotel. So we got the meat out, and you notice some sediments that are stuck onto the pan, and the oil is floated. So that's oil and fat of the meat. And I've now finely chopped about 2 onions, and the onions will now go into for frying, and once they are light brown, we'll add in our masalas. So we'll brown the onions a bit. It needs to be cooked well. Yeah, so the onion's gone in, and now this needs to be slow cooked. I have not added salt into this. I don't want the onion to release moisture yet. Let it get fried, and all on medium heat. You got to be patient with this dish. Okay, so the onions is nice and slightly brown, which is good, and this is how we want it. And at this point is when I'm going to add in the masala. Now remember, the onion's been cooking in the oil and the fat of the meat, so it's gold as it is. Now I'm going to add in masala, so roughly about 1 large spoon of it goes into. Yeah, so that's a thick paste there, but I'm going to add about yeah. One and a half large ladle of masala goes into that. Now this I'll fry. We'll now fry this masala till it gets cooked a bit, and you find that it releases some oil, so the chili and onions will get cooked together. And once that happens is when we'll add the meat. So I'll be back. So we now fry the masala for about 2 to 3 minutes, and this is when we will now add our meat. Masala has been cooking well with the onions, and this is when we add our meat. So the meat goes in, and we'll fold it. Let the meat absorb the masala in it. I'm going to now let this cook. So I'm going to add about half a cup of water, and we'll just let it cook. I'll also add in about some part of this beautiful Filipino palm vinegar, just a bit. There's already vinegar in the masala, so just going to put in just a bit. That's it. And some water. Okay. And fold this. We let it cook. At this stage, this is about a knob of jaggery. So I'm not going to add sugar, so the jaggery, it gives a nice color and a nice flavor to it. So just put in the jaggery inside. Give a bit of a sweetness. So you'll have the spice in the chili, the sweetness in the jaggery, and the tanginess in the vinegar. And the meat will just enjoy all three, and it's just going to be beautiful. It already has this intoxicating aroma that's coming out of it. And we'll now leave this on slow fire and let this cook for roughly about 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll be back. So while this is getting cooked, you can keep tasting it a bit, and it's good. Look at the beautiful color. This is what I love about it. And you can add in about let's say a tablespoon of vinegar if you believe that you want it a little more sour. But keep checking it, because as you cook it, the vinegar, the sugar, and the vinegar and the jaggery, they tend to get a lot more stronger. So the longer it stays, the better it gets. So slow cook it, and this is a dish to enjoy with the entire family. It's a labor of love, slow dish, slow cooking, and it's just simply brilliant. So we just while you'll be tempted to have this immediately, it's best to sorpotel is best enjoyed after about 2 to 3 days of it being cooked. And you can, like I said, salt and vinegar as much as you want, depends on your taste. Cheers. We'll be back in about 20-25 minutes, and it gets cooked a little more. So our sorpotel has now been cooking on slow heat for about an hour now, and beautiful. So I added some salt to taste, and there's no need for any more vinegar. It's got that right sourness into it, and this is now ready. We'll now switch it off, and it's now ready. So this is, like I said, traditional Goan, and every single aspect, it has to be cooked, slow cooked. So the whole cooking process has taken about 2.5 hours. So you got to marinate it well for the meat to tenderize. You have to boil it well for the meat to get cooked well. You then need to fry it well to get the meat together. The masala has to be right with the right amount of red chilies and vinegar. The jaggery that's gone into it has added to the color and to a bit of sweetness. And the meat with the coconut vinegar, all just beautiful and slow cooked till the meat softens up and it melts. Sorpotel for you. Enjoy.